Today, from Big Whiskey Rebellion, we're from a very small distillery. Most of you probably never heard of it. It's called Buffalo Trace. We are standing right in front of Warehouse H, which is the famous steel-clad bonded warehouse that they age Colonel Blanton's signature whiskey blends. And we are going to be doing a barrel pick in there.
As far as the mash bills, these big old tanks can have one of 4 big mash bills in them. We can have mash 1, which is I think what's in them right now. That's corn and a minimal amount of rye, malted barley. That recipe will make Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, Stag Junior, Benchmark, Old Charter. Mash 2 was in here not long ago. That is a little more rye, a little less corn. That's going to be your Blantons, Elmer T. Lee, Rock Hill Farm, Hancock's Reserve, and Ancient Age. The wheated recipe, corn, wheat, malted barley is all your Weller, all the Van Winkles. And we rye whiskey. Today we're barreling rye whiskey in the back. Basically it follows the rules of bourbon except one. Dominant grain is rye, not corn.
Yep.
Thomas Handy, Sazerac rye, and each of the Van Winkle and Taylor portfolios contain a rye whiskey.
Wow.
So thank you, warehouses.
Yeah.
They do the deal for it.
Absolutely.
So if you want, we'll head up here, kind of look around,
That'd be great.
see what's going on. So you can see the guys are getting ready to deal with one of the tanks down here. The boxes are yeast.
Uh-huh.
The yeast strain that we use dates back to post-prohibition.
Oh, wow.
We have not changed. So our yeast is dating back to about 1933.
I can't imagine the size of your yeast locker to maintain all this stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I'll show you the yeast room, see if there's anything in here. This is getting ready to be dumped. You can see the corn oil, and it's finally starting to reduce. It's bubbling.
Oh, yeah.
Probably about 100 degrees in there.
I don't think I've ever seen one that color. Like, that's kind of dark.
That's the corn.
Okay. It's amazing that just one tank produces 225 barrels. That's insane.
All right, so we're gonna go down here and basically start the process of grains coming in, cooking, all the stuff.
Okay.
To my left is our machine shop.
Wow.
Everything in it works.
That's amazing.
Place.
Stuff looks like it's from World War II.
It is.
Amazing.
That's
the biggest lathe I've ever seen in my life.
And it's from a battleship, they say. So, basically, these are the silos put on here by Albert Bland in like 1936, 35, 36. His original hammer mill was to the left. Our current hammer mill is those windows that are open at the top. Those were installed in 1951, but those are getting ready to go away. The new hammer mill starts up this year. The plans are that there'll be 2 hammer mills. One serves as a backup, the other one's gonna be primary. That truck right there is probably unloading corn. It's going out the bottom of the truck. That is a grain elevator, that green pole right there. It's filling those silos after the grain goes through a screen. It then is pumped up to the hammer mill that chops it up about the consistency of cornbread, and they fill the right amounts. The rye and the malt are cooked separately in atmospheric cookers. Like I said, the corn right now is probably pushing 1 million pounds. We'll walk up and take a peek, and then we'll head into the cookers. So it's all coming up here. If you want to see the big mash cooler, the build that the bridge you're on was completed in 1936. That's where we are right now.
Cool.
But there it is. We'll go out, but you can see behind it. You can't go out there, but it's massive. It's got a part of the cooling unit is in that building, so that mash is circulating everywhere. It's almost like a radiator. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So these are the fermenters Albert Bland put in place in 1936. They're just 1,000 gallons less than the ones that we installed this year and last year. Open top, smells good. See, this is probably better. This is probably about a day old. It's really going.
Yeah, and these are 92,000.
Uh-huh. And this is called banged copper. So that's the original makeup of the tanks, and we've since installed stainless around them.
Oh yeah.
So that's not rust, it's actually copper.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's pretty cool. People look at it and go, ugh, and I go, no, that's actually copper. These things emit so much CO2. Like that's a vacuum for that right there.
Right.
So if you see, like as you start out, after about a day, 90 degrees, after about 3 days, you're at almost 99 degrees.
Wow.
And that's just the process of fermentation.
Sure.
You know, by the time they dump them, they're right at 100.
That's amazing.
Yeah. This room right here was actually constructed by Albert Blanton in about 36.
Holy moly.
So what it did is this is where we grew the yeast.
Yes.
Those are yeast tubs. Propagated the yeast, carried them in there to those fermenters. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
Saw the boxes of
Yeah.
powdered yeast. So what Harlan Wheatley did is he basically took 2 of these and he made them into cookers/fermenters. So he now has 2 2,400-gallon fermenters/cookers, so he can do experiments. So they're going to eventually fill this with whatever,
Right.
cook it, ferment it. It takes about 8 distillations on that hybrid still over there to empty this. Much easier to do. So in this room, he's got the pot/column that he uses, but then behind here he's got a vodka still. That's the still where the Clicks vodka is made, half of the Wheatley. The condenser for that still is that pipe right up there. Of course, then you have your worm
Yeah.
and everything goes with it.
That's really cool.
It is really neat. I mean, I've heard there's plans for even an additional column still in here so he can do, you know, try more things in it. So it's a pretty important room for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.